The beautiful city of San Diego would be the perfect place to start any journey. But it's not just any journey that Jill Ellis and the U.S. Women's National Team are about to embark on. With World Cup qualifying looming in the fall, the road to a repeat begins today against Denmark, a talented side fresh off a history-making run of their own. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the U.S. Women's National Team. We are coming to you live from SDCCU Stadium in San Diego, California, as the United States hosts Denmark to start a both critical and challenging 2018 slate. Alongside U.S. legend Julie Foudy, I'm Sebastian Salazar. Julie, we are exactly 502 days from the start of the World Cup in France next year. I know, it's a long ways off. But we're only 250 days from the start of World Cup qualifying. So that word we heard a lot of in 2017, experimentation, goes a little bit out the window, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Having said that, she's starting a 19-year-old, of course, tonight, getting her first cap.
Tierna Davidson, yep.
However, Jill Ellis is going to be locking in on the starting 11. Because of all that experimentation that happened in 2017, it's a little bit unsettling. And so now she's thinking team chemistry, locking in, and making sure she's got that starting 11 set.
Before we look any further into 2018, let's take a look back at the year that was, because Julie, was such a strange year for this U.S. team. A historically slow start, and then somewhere in the summer they seemed to find their rhythm. Actually, right here in the summer, July against Brazil, and they had lost 3 games in the first half of 2017. We're staring at a 4th loss in a calendar year, which has never happened with the U.S. team. And then all of a sudden, they're down 3-1. They score 3 goals in 9 minutes, and the year change for the United States. Look at the difference from those first 8 games to the last 8, and in particular, Alex Morgan and Julie Ertz. And we'll start with Julie Ertz because their production, those two, was phenomenal. And here's a player who had lost her center back starting position. She comes in at holding midfielder, and not only is she dictating play, she's dictating the offense. 6 goals in the last 8 games of that calendar year for Julie Ertz. And of course, she wins U.S. Soccer Player of the Year. And then there's Alex Morgan, who's coming into the summer, an 8-game goalless drought, but she turns that around in August and goes 7 goals in 7 games. And what a finish she had to the year as well. I could argue Megan Rapinoe in there as well with her 5 assists to lead the team. But those two in particular flipped the switch for the United States and turned that 2017 around. Let's focus in on today's opponent. Denmark is ranked 12th in the world, but don't let the fact that they're not in the top 10 fool you. This is a very good team. Their 2017 historic as well. Made it all the way to the final of the European Championships. That included a massive win in the quarterfinals. Shocker over Germany, 2-1. Their first over the Germans since 1995. They fell in the final. A great match against the homestanding Dutch, 4-2. The joy of the summer, though, gave way to the pressures of the fall. The players in a pay dispute with their federation. Eventually, the Danes decided to sit out a critical World Cup qualifier against Sweden, one that could jeopardize their place in France in 2019. Both teams just about set to take the field here in San Diego when we return. Starting lineups for the United States and Denmark, and the opening kickoff. Welcome back to San Diego. U.S. and Denmark just moments away from kickoff. U.S. Soccer celebrating the iconic Hope Solar and her 202 career international appearances. Solo, the only goalie in the history of international soccer, men's or women's, to hit that 200 cap plateau. 2-time Olympic champion, and Julie, a World Cup winner in 2015. And I think you could even argue the reason they won, because she keeps them in that group stage in 2015, Hope Solo. Back to the matter at hand, USA Denmark, their head coach, Lars Søndergaard. He just took over the team. This will actually be his first match in charge of the 12th ranked Danish side. Let's see how he'll set up his 11. Again, the Danish team that finished runners-up at the 2017 European Championships. They're probably going to go into 3-5-2, and they're going to fly those wingers forward, but pay particular attention to number 10, Pernille Harder. Here's a player who's a playmaker, a finisher, and she just buzzes all over the place. A fun player to watch for Denmark. For the United States, it's Jill Ellis in charge, as she has been since the spring of 2014. Her run includes the 2015 World Cup Championship and plenty of difficult decisions for Ellis in the starting 11 today, Julie, including one big surprise.
Yeah, Tiarna Davidson getting her first cap for the U.S. national team. Sophomore from Stanford, 19 years old. Becky Sauerbrunn out with an injury. And the center back gets the big nod, and this is a fun player to watch. She's great on the ball, very comfortable because she plays a lot in the midfield, so she will make some long runs out of the back, getting forward.
And there we see Davidson in the huddle. I knew that you would get in, that she goes to Stanford. I knew you would sneak that in there. Just the third teenager since 2013 to earn their first international camp. She joined some pretty good company, Mallory Pugh and Lindsay Horan. This is the 25th all-time meeting between these two teams. The United States hosts a 16-5-3 record against Denmark, but their last meeting went against the script. It was March of 2014 at the Algarve Cup. The United States lost 5-3. That's the most goals ever allowed by this U.S. team. Within a month, the coach at the time, Tom Sermanni, was dismissed. It opened the door. Jill Ellis took over, and we all know what happened in the 12 months after that. Karen Apt, the center referee, today she'll be in charge of the proceedings here from SDCCU Stadium in San Diego, California, and we're underway. The United States operating left to right on your screen in an all dark red kit. The Danes in a crisp all white jersey going right to left. Taylor Smith on the ball. She'll slip it down the line to the aforementioned Mallory Pugh. Bursting onto the international scene right here in this stadium at the beginning of 2016 against the Republic of Ireland. Within a few short months, she'd made the Olympic team. Andy Sullivan slinging it across the box, cleared away by the Danes. Julie Ertz the header. See Horan with the turnover. Send a Trollsgaard. Send it all the way back to Yanni Arndt. Danes under some high pressure here from the United States. Foul just on the American side of midfield.
I'm not sure if I'm Denmark. The first thing I want to do is start out with playing it around the back line there, because you know U.S. is going to be coming hard. There's Trollsgaard getting called for that one. But the U.S. is going to press. They're going to send that front three, those midfielders as well.
Davidson's first touch of the game intercepted by Denmark, but the U.S. quickly recovers possession. The Stanford sophomore across to her fellow center back Abby Dahlkemper. And now to the feet of U.S. Soccer's Player of the Year in 2017, Julie Ertz, dropping deep between the center backs. Ertz launching it forward. Denmark finally grabbing some possession here. Pernilla Harder, a player to watch in this match, just 25 years old. And boy, did she have an amazing tournament in Holland last summer. Megan Rapinoe nearly in one-on-one there, but Steen Larsen with a timely intervention. Nadia Nadim back to goal, working 1-on-3. Nadim now with Manchester City. National Women's Soccer League fans will be very familiar with her from her time with both the Portland Thorns and Sky Blue FC. Good crowd here in San Diego. A popular spot for this U.S. women's team. Katrina Vaya, dangerous left foot. Swings it in the middle, Davidson the header away. Sullivan and Ertz on top of each other, awkward exchange. Send Trollsgaard, left-footed cross, and that won't cause any trouble for the U.S. #1 between the pipes, Salison-Aire. Nair would seem to be the #1, Julie, but really this is just her 24th cap. Kelly O'Hara surging down the left side. She's got Rapinoe on the break. Cross deflected out of bounds, and here comes the first corner kick of the match for the United States.
Well, and I think part of that too with Nair and limited number of caps is no one outside of Hope in the last decade has gotten many caps. So I think that is also one of the challenges on Jill Ellis's list is securing that successor to Hope Solo. No easy task and some big shoes to fill.
You even look at the likely #2, Ashlyn Harris. She's got just 14 caps. So, as you mentioned, not a lot of depth, experience there in goal for the United States. Harder overruns the ball. She'll half clear it to Sullivan. Sullivan to top the box. Drills it back in. Trollsgaard there to deny.
You look at these first 4 minutes with the United States, and they're putting the press, they're putting the pressure, and Denmark just struggling to deal with it in that pace of play. Obviously, this isn't the same speed they're going to be able to play with for 90 minutes, but if the U.S. could sneak one in here in these first 10, that's the goal of this early press.
Lindsey Horan double teamed, and here comes Denmark on the break through Harder, their captain. She's knocked down, and the U.S. back on the ball. O'Hara back to Abby Dahlkemper. Dahlkemper, who played all 2,160 minutes of the last NWSL season for the North Carolina Courage.
And here's the beauty of Julie Ertz as your center holding midfielder is what happens is you see her now, she's dropping into that center back position. So you have that versatility. Now the U.S. attacks with a much bigger shape. They're attacking with like a 3-5-2 going up. 3-4-3.
Smith, long driven ball into the box, headed back. And Stina Lika Petersen, the Danish goalie, collects.
And in particular, who gets really high in those situations when Ertz drops into the center back position are your two wide backs, Taylor Smith and Kelly O'Hara, both of whom are great getting forward.
Denmark settling on some possession through Janne Jandt. Stine Larsen, longtime forward for the Danes, who's found a reliable spot in the center of their defense. Horan turns with space in midfield, picks out Megan Rapinoe. Sullivan now, looking for Alex Morgan. Well defended from Larsen. Crunching challenge, Lindsey Horan flying in. Rapinoe, opportunity to cross here, sends it in. And out for another corner kick. The United States ratcheting up the pressure here in minute 7.
And a good little look by Rapinoe. Morgan starts to look like she's going to that near post and then just stops her run. But Rapinoe thinks she's still making that near post run, just unable to find that seam there.
Rapinoe set to take the corner here. Drilled to the near post. Like Ertz nearly got a touch to it before it was swept away by the Danes. Dahlkemper. Beautiful ball to Smith. Pugh with an opportunity to shoot here on her left foot. And Petersen unfazed. Pugh just 19 years old, earning her 30th cap already, Julie. It really is remarkable.
And good to see her back in there after a little bit of an injury in the fall. So many injuries happening with the U.S. team, that, especially some of the younger players. Rose Lavelle's been out for quite a while. Morgan Bryan.
Sam Mewis.
Sam Mewis is out with a knee right now.
As you mentioned earlier, Becky Sauerbrunn injured.
Tobin Heath again. Just got her bone spur taken off her ankle. It's not a back issue, which has been plaguing her most of that last season. But told it all went well, and she should be back. And she had it done early January, 8 to 12 weeks.
Right around She Believes Cup, hopefully. few of the last to touch it there. Throw-in coming for Denmark. Watch this left side. Troelsgaard and Katrina Vij, both very dangerous. Sophia Young Pedersen there, number 13 for the Danes. Finds Nadja Nadim. Nadim wheeling, trying to deal. But a good double team there from Ertz and Smith. Great back check from Alex Morgan. She's able to win the ball, but only temporarily. Arndt to Larson. Arndt kind of hopefully launching it forward. But the U.S. defense well prepared. Senna Troelsgaard, one of the leaders on this Danish team as they went through the pay dispute with their federation. I'll borrow a quote that you borrowed in your article on ESPNW.com. She said, "We do not negotiate to get rich. It is about ensuring we can live up to our own and the federation's expectations." We'll get into this more throughout the broadcast, but these women really put it on the line sitting out that game against Sweden.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is a team that hasn't played in the last 2 World Cups. So they're fighting to get into this World Cup and are so fed up with their federation that they thought their only avenue was to threaten boycott. They've said, of course, we hope that didn't happen, and it did. They had to end up forfeiting that game against Sweden. Why it's not reflected in the standings for their group is because it's under appeal by Sweden, but eventually I think you're going to see Sweden is awarded those 3 points, a 3-0 win. And I mean, I call it courageous, and sadly it takes players having to do those things over and over again to get federations to budge. It should not be the case, but they stood together and they were able to sign a deal after that in November that they said is much better. Support, conditions, staff, increase in staff, better fields. And as Pernille Harder told us, we were basically tired of getting second everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a feeling that's shared globally, honestly.
Yeah, we mentioned your article over on ESPNW.com, and it's not just these Danish women that are kind of standing up to their federations and saying, look, enough is enough.
I mean, look at the list when you go through. Of course, we've seen it here in the United States, but Sweden did the same thing. The Netherlands has been fighting. Norway signed a new deal with equal pay. Scotland. I mean, you go down different continents. I mean, it's definitely been a tipping point, and what I hope is a movement where you see more federations actually change without the players having to initiate it. Wouldn't that be a nice thing, huh? How about that, boys?
I think the most disappointing thing about the Denmark situation is it was despite the public sentiment from that incredible run at the European Championships. They had the public on the side, and it still took the federation that little bit extra, that threat, to get the job done. Kelly O'Hara. Some space to dribble. Looks like she was tripped up a little bit there, and O'Hara will get the call.
Here's some of the goals that when you talk to Jill Ellis, as we did yesterday, that she's really focused on. We talked so much about 2017 being the year of experimentation and tinkering, as it should be, and this one is all about locking in and making sure that she cannot just get a lineup in place for She Believes, but she said she wanted a player per line.
It's good enough. Okay. I know everybody's trying to do the right thing.
And really then determining the depth, because the problem that every coach wants is they have a ton of depth.
We just read off the list of injured players. On top of that, you got players who didn't make the match day 18 today. There's a pool of probably around between 30 and 35 players that realistically have a shot at being in this group come France 2019.
I mean, look who's just on the bench right now, right? Your 2-time World Player of the Year, Press, Crystal Dunn, Lynn Williams, Ashlyn Harris is another backup goalkeeper. And I think that's a position she still will need to do some experimentation in. And then you saw the injured list as well, many of those starters. So, but I think that's the exact problem you want as a coach, right? Sebastian is
maybe you got to deal with some egos.
Yeah, it is a lot of management of personalities, that's for sure. But
good opportunity here for Denmark from the set piece. 14th minute corner kick. Danes clustering 3, 4, 5 players right around Alyssa Nair. Ball driven in, the header. Goal! The Danes have scored. No surprise who? Nadia Nadim.
And look at that, it took the Danes about 10 minutes just to settle into this game, and really not having much of the play on a set-piece corner kick. Nadia Nadim rises up, as we've seen her do so many times here in the NWSL, gets ahead on it. She's so good in the air. The ability to be able to snap it from there and find the other post is tremendous. Look at that celebration for Nadia Nadim. So good in the air her entire career.
That her 23rd career international goal in her 76th international appearance for Denmark.
And really against the run-up play, the U.S. coming out strong and pressing, they don't get one. Denmark weathers it. And that's the beauty of soccer right there. One set piece to change the game.
Well, and now you go back to the drawing board the next time you look at this tape and you say things to work on defending set pieces. Interesting turn of events there. This game felt totally one-sided for the first 10 minutes. That came out of nowhere. Nadia Nadim has Denmark up 1-0. Some early adversity here for the United States in 2018. Look back at the 2017 schedule. It was difficult. 2018 figures to be more of the same. And that record, 27 year-opening wins for the U.S. Right now very much in jeopardy. Ertz back to Nair. Moran picks it up just outside the U.S. box. Moran coming off an NWSL Championship match MVP performance. She scored the game winner for her Portland Thorns over the North Carolina Courage. Also named NWSL second team best 11. Feels like she's been around forever. She's just 23 years old. Moran picks out Rapinoe. Now O'Hara on the ball. Rapinoe. Chance to cross to the near post. Morgan. Morgan with the shot. Peterson the save. High pressure from Mallory Pugh. Pugh into the box. Pugh across. Touched in. Goal! The U.S. has struck back, and it took only a matter of minutes. Alex Morgan equalizes. One apiece.
Full credit to Mallory Pugh here, pressing immediately, not retreating, and then having the presence to mind to say, okay, look at Alex Morgan saying, I want it right here, pointing to the place on her favored left foot. The perfect pace, Pugh plays it across in, but credit to Pugh because Denmark caught sleeping again on that back line.
Her 81st international goal, now 7th on the all-time scoring chart.
And what a great response by the United States, because that can get frustrating when you have so much of the game, you find yourself down early on, even though you have had the game. And they come roaring back.
How confident does Alex Morgan look? Demanding the ball in the area. on the score sheet, digging the U.S. out of an early hole. Davidson under pressure from Harder. Nice job by the U.S. to maintain possession. They'll build through Ertz. Now Sullivan. Quick counter for the United States. Pugh one-on-one with Vi. Pugh into the box. Ball deflected. Last touch by Katrina Vaya.
Good defense by Katrina Vaya, because Pugh, as we know, we've seen her pace and getting around the corners there. And you like that she wants to get around that corner. Maybe didn't work out that one, but that's the mentality the U.S. wants.
Dahlkemper drives it to the spot. Snap down header, touchdown, and in! The United States back to back! Julie Ertz!
Here's the thing about Ertz when she gets forward, as she does in that holding center midfield position. She has such good instincts in the box. Watch her turn on this, make that little run. As it's in the air, she turns, makes that run, gets in that gap, and all it is a little touch. She makes that look easy. That is not an easy finish by any means. But her instincts in the box and in the six are so good, as we saw when she moved to that holding center midfield position for the second half of 2017.
That short corner into a somewhat delayed service is something that we saw the United States work on for quite a while at yesterday's training session, and it certainly paid off right there. Credit to Tierna Davidson with the assist. Denmark woke a sleeping giant. They may not have quite been ready for. Buying out across midfield. Pernilla Harder hasn't really seen too much of the ball. United States doing a good job keeping away from Denmark's number 10. And Harder, 21st minute, will go into the book, a yellow card. Harder, one of 10 Danish players, applies their trade abroad. Plays for Wolfsburg in Germany. We asked her yesterday, you know, with Nadia Nadim leaving the NWSL, we need another Dane. Would she ever consider?
when are you going to come over?
Yeah, she seemed up for it. So NWSL executives, you need number 10.
She's such a good player too. Haven't seen her. She's been a little bit quiet this game so far, but.
A little miscommunication here on the Danish back line. Lika Petersen will clear. Clever touch from Harder. To the feet of Maja Hildemos. Hildemos, number 4, and Sophia Young Pedersen. Two players that will sit in front of Denmark's back line. Intercepted from Mallory Pugh. Boy, has she been a menace so far here in the first half. Pugh one-on-one. Pugh the shot blocked away by Yanni Arndt. Denmark in transition. Senna Trollsgaard. Pedersen. All the way back to Larson and Arndt.
It's why I will always advocate for that 3 front. I've always been such a fan of that, because of these defensive sets you get out of it. All of a sudden you're nipping balls, as we've seen Pugh do, and coming out of it in your own attacking third. If you play it right and you got 3 forwards that are pressing, it's so hard to get out of on that back line.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, and I know the answer's somewhat obvious, but why can't you play with that high-intensity pressure all the time? Because clearly Denmark's struggling with it.
Because your legs and body and lungs don't allow it, pretty much. I mean, the beauty of the United States is they're one of the fittest teams in the world, so they will press for a lot of the game. But also you want to change the pace up a little bit and change the rhythm as well.
Dean pulling it back. Harder now on the ball. Crossing into the final third.
Service into the box for Denmark. Out comes Nair, punching it clear. Hildemos looking for the through ball. Has she found it? O'Hara racing back, and she'll touch it out of bounds to deny the cross. Another corner kick for Denmark here. Just about 9 minutes ago that their first corner of the match resulted in a goal from Nadia Nadim. Keep an eye on number 9 here. Different setup for the Danes on this corner kick. They'll crash the net. Nadim jumps for the header. She didn't miss by much. Let's go back to the U.S. goal just a few short minutes ago.
Look at Julie Ertz right here. She's going to be in the red. She's going to flip around, find this little gap, and there she is, wide open. Look at that movement off the ball in the air, and then to have the presence of mind to know, okay, if I just get a little something on this, I can chip it over the goalkeeper. I don't think that was a fluke. That's a great goal by Julie Ertz.
I have to be honest, I wondered if she could continue the goal-scoring form of a year ago, but certainly off to a good start. 7 in her last 9. Alex Morgan off the post. Seemed to mistime her jump, and still good enough to beat the goalie, not the woodwork. The Danes really struggling with this American pressure. Rapinoe's won it now. Foul called against the U.S.
And here's the Morgan chance, and just wide open on that back line. Almost seeks it by Peterson, trying to get enough on it. But then why does Peterson then play right out to her back? Who's under pressure again, right? She's got to have the presence of mind to say, this isn't working right now. We've seen that. I got to punt this ball.
Trolls guard. Horan goes in late there. Trolls guard down on the turf. Reminder, Thursday, March 1st, ESPN2 will be your home for the United States women's national team's first match of the She Believes Cup. Take on Germany from McCree Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Game will also be streaming on the ESPN app. Trolls guard lets that one go out of bounds, perhaps still feeling the ill effects of that challenge from Horan. Davidson in that left center back spot. We had a chance to speak to Jill Ellis yesterday, and you know she always wants to downplay it, but you could tell just how excited she was about what she'd seen over the last couple weeks from Davidson.
And I had the same reaction watching her play at Stanford, especially watching some of the footage prepping for the College Cup this year.
O'Hara flying in. No call from the referee. The pressure persists from the United States, and now a foul goes the other way.
And Denmark just unable to get out of this pressure. Kelly O'Hara, Alex Morgan. It's coming from all sides. That's your left back and your forward.
Denmark jumping out to a 1-0 lead in the 14th minute. That drew quite the response from the United States. Back-to-back goals to put the red, white, and blue up 2-1. Rapinoe buzzing around the ball. Pugh with the back check. Seems like there's 14 U.S. players on the field, doesn't it? Nadim in behind. One-on-one with Smith. Tries the cross. Smith with the challenge. It'll be last touched by Nadim, much to her chagrin. Taylor Smith just traded to the Washington Spirit from the North Carolina Courage. She and NWSL Rookie of the Year Ashley Hatch heading north in exchange for the rights to Crystal Dunn, currently playing with Chelsea in England.
Lots of big moves happening in the NWSL this week. Every time I turn on.
We got to get into the blockbuster trade. Save that for a little bit later in the match, but Carly Lloyd, Kristen Press, and Sam Kerr all on the move. Pugh applying some pressure. US dropping off just a little bit more. Kildemos flips it out wide. O'Hara quickly ahead to Rapinoe. Beats the defender, but ran out of real estate. Trade coming on draft day. Kind of stole the thunder from the NWSL draft. So Carly Lloyd goes back home. Sky Blue FC from Houston. Kristen Press down to the Bayou City from Chicago. And Sam Kerr from Sky Blue FC to the Red Stars. Got it? Good. All slipped in. And Larson with a perfectly timed touch. Otherwise, Mallory Pugh may have been in for a third U.S. goal. We were talking about it the other day. Who would trade Sam Kerr? Especially after the season she had. Remarkable, the Australian.
Yeah, I think Sam Kerr was wanting to move on and try new waters, but yeah, she just had what a season. Jeez. I mean, the other thing too, is not mentioned on that graphic, Janine Becky going over with Carly Lloyd to Sky Blue. That's a player, Canadian international, youth national team player with the U.S. ends up playing with the Canadian full team. She's a player.
We also didn't mention Allie Long moving from the Portland Thorns to Seattle Reign. Horan trying to get to the end line. Teresa Nielsen with the block. So both the U.S. and Denmark have done damage today via the corner kick. Some of that damage coming from Julie Ertz.
Yeah, and that is the player they're definitely looking for in these. Horan, Julie Ertz, we know how dangerous Ertz has been over her career on set pieces.
Rapinoe right to the heart of the area. Headed out, Sullivan with a touch, blocked back in. Ball pinging around the area before Stina Lika Peterson corrals. Nadia Nadim opening the scoring in the 14th minute. Then goals just 120 seconds apart. Alex Morgan in the 17th, Julie Ertz in the 19th. Trollsgaard under pressure. Smith coming all the way upfield. The press will not stop from the United States. Pugh with a long touch, Trollsgaard intercepts. But there's Lindsay Horan, triple team. Nadim checking all the way back to try and help the Danes establish some type of possession. Instead, she'll get called for the foul. 32 minutes in, the U.S. leads 12th ranked Denmark, the United States #1. The latest FIFA rankings. Beautifully sprayed ball wide. Rapinoe one-on-one with Nielsen. Rapinoe slips it to Morgan. Morgan on her left. Morgan shot blocked.
That whole play started from a 40, 50-yard ball played in by Tierna Davidson. I mean, and that's the beauty of a center back that is comfortable on the ball and setting plays, and not just the long ball. This is a player who
all driven right to the goal line. Plenty of U.S. targets in there.
As we've seen in college with Davidson, can make 50-yard runs as well on the dribble and beat about 7 players in 3 lines as she's going through. This is going to be a special player to watch going forward.
So one thing if a teenager starts in midfield or on the wing or up top, but a teenager in your back line, that's impressive. Rapinoe forcing another turnover. Sullivan will pump the brakes on this one, send it back to Dahlkemper. Now Pugh. Can Smith get involved in a 2-on-1? Pugh turns. Look at Morgan. Strong play with the back to goal. Finds Pugh. Pugh to the end line. Denied by Trollsgaard. Trollsgaard turning inside. Clears it only as far as Julie Ertz. O'Hara. Sullivan. Sullivan under pressure. Sullivan drafted #1 overall by the Washington Spirit. How about the haul for the Spirit? Their 3rd pick overall, Rebecca Quinn, coming out of Duke, already has over 30 caps for a very good Canadian side. Not that I'm biased. From DC, go to some Spirit games.
They had a good week.
They did.
I mean, you go down their list with Taylor Smith and Ashley Hatch, as you mentioned already, Quinn, Skylar Debris, Duke, standout, who I like as well. Pugh's already there.
Crunching challenge here. Rapinoe taken down from behind. Hilda Moros, the guilty party. Just about 10 minutes from halftime here in San Diego. The U.S. leads 2-1. If you're just joining us, the Americans actually fell behind in the 14th minute. Nadia Nadim scoring off a corner kick.
Talked to Andy Sullivan yesterday about her last month. I mean, when you look back, won the national championship with Stanford, then goes and wins the Herman Trophy Award for Best Collegiate Player, and then goes #1 in the draft to Washington Spirit. I said, pretty good month for you, huh?
And she's really going home from Morton, Virginia. Grew up playing for Bethesda Soccer Club there in the Maryland suburbs. Pernilla Harder. Tracked down by Ertz, forced into an errant pass. The Danish #10 has been frustrated throughout the opening half hour. Big switch here. Counter is on. Mallory Pugh racing towards the Danish area. Pugh onto her left. The shot. Ooh, did not miss by much. I thought that was destined for the upper corner.
I'm certain Jill Ellis is pleased that every time Pugh gets it with some green in between her and a defender, she's looking to try and get in that box, get a shot off, get around her. Especially as a young player who's had a few setbacks with injuries, when they come back, what's that confidence like? Are they still going at players? And that's what you want to see in that forward. Had a busy night tonight.
Battle of #11s here in the near corner. Pugh and Vaya. Pair of players that aren't afraid to get up and down their respective flank. Smith thrown into the box. Morgan back to goal to Sullivan. Left-footed effort well over the bar. On Sunday, March 4th, tune into ESPN for a soccer doubleheader. First at noon Eastern on ESPN2. The United States hosts France from Red Bull Arena in the She Believes Cup. Then at 5 Eastern, it's MLS Soccer Sunday on ESPN, presented by Audi, as the Seattle Sounders host expansion side LAFC in the MLS season opener on ESPN. Coverage begins at 12 Eastern on ESPN2, and both matches will be streaming live on the ESPN app. Nadim finally finding some space. Squares up against Smith and Ertz. Dahlkemper threading the needle to Haran. U.S. putting their foot on the ball and establishing control of this game just about 8 minutes from halftime.
Watching Nadia Nadim out there and talking to her yesterday, I am just constantly blown away by her story. I mean, to do what she has done is remarkable, and we will get into that. But here's a player who's just in her last semester of med school, has 4 more months, she said, and is on her way to England to play for Man City right now. I said, how are you going to take classes over there? And she says, well, that might be a little bit difficult. I might have to wait until I come back to Denmark to take them. But if not, I'm going to be doing some research that will help me be a surgeon. But my goodness, from Afghanistan, born there.
Yeah, really tragedy at the beginning of her life, Julie. Her father killed by the Taliban. Family forced to flee to Denmark. Debuts for the Danish team in 2009. Comes to the NWSL in 2014. Lights up that league for 4 years. Signed with Manchester City, where, no surprise, she's already starting to score. But boy, will they miss her in Portland. She was not just a great player, but really a fan favorite. Sullivan to Pugh. Desperate defending here in the first half for the Danes. Moran wiggling her way out of trouble. Slammed to the ground. Fair play, says the referee. Denmark on the counter. Trollsgaard to Harder. Boy, Megan Rapinoe is everywhere. Now on the right side of the field. Bodies into the box. Rapinoe looking for Morgan. And just cut out. Harder chased down by Andy Sullivan. Hildemose. Teresa Nielsen. Nielsen, one of 2 unattached players on this Danish side. Most recently playing professionally in Norway. Fredrik Torgersen sends it back. Denmark resetting through Larson. Arndt under pressure. Danes scurry it away to the left side. And Katrina Vaya. Trollsgaard. Trollsgaard there swinging through the legs of Andy Sullivan. What did Andy tell us that her major was yesterday?
Say that again, Sebastian.
What did Andy tell us that her major was yesterday at Stanford?
Something that involves science of the mind.
Science of the mind.
Symbolic
systems.
Systems.
Yeah.
Symbolic systems.
There's nothing more humbling than when you have to ask somebody what their major is. It really.
Yeah, we both looked at her and said, can you break that down a little bit more for us? Symbolic systems. That's what it was. I feel confident about that now.
Morgan showing off her ability to play with her back to goal quite a bit here in the first half. Ertz, well-driven ball. Out to Kelly O'Hara. She's got Megan Rapinoe on the break. Rapinoe, left-footed cross. And it'll be out of bounds for a goal kick. Megan Rapinoe, one of the large number of players on this U.S. team to attend the 2nd annual Women's March here in San Diego. Saw the local news last night. Said between 35 and 40,000 folks turned out. If you want to just how much they enjoyed it, check out Megan's Instagram.
Yeah, they had a ball. They said it was so neat. Very inspiring.
Those rallies continuing all across the country today. And Tierna Davidson got to show off her technology skills.
She said they were surrounded at the rally by a woman trying to sync her GoPro with her phone, and all the players were trying to help her, and she said, and all of a sudden they were like, we need a teenager for this. Tierna Davidson raised her hand. Yeah, I'm here. So of course we were like, well, you fixed it, right? She's like, no. you need to change your story, sister.
Yeah.
Give us a payoff or something on that one.
I gotta say, just in the few minutes we spent with her yesterday, such poise. You can see how she's been able to come in right away to this group and not just hang with the players, but establish herself. Ertz pushing forward as Pugh drops it for Smith. Smith, well-driven ball into the box. Pass cleared to Sullivan. Moran trying to turn. She'll have to go back. O'Hara and Rapinoe have been quite a force down this left side. Rapinoe, double team. Turning it out for Kelly O'Hara. O'Hara, the rip. Denied by the Danes. Nadim now. For just about a minute of stoppage time here in the first half. Denmark perhaps happy just to get to the breakdown 2-1.
I think if you're Denmark too, you got to figure out the U.S. pressing with great efficiency and productivity, and how are you going to deal with that as a team, and maybe sacrificing a little bit of play to get more direct in their final third, or sorry, in their back third, where they're just getting picked so much.
Hildemose trying to waltz her way through the midfield. Instead, it'll lead to a counter. Rapinoe into the box. She goes down. No call. Rapinoe in one-on-one with Stina Lika Petersen. And the Danish goalie makes the play.
And that back line for Denmark, Arndt and Larson, the center backs there, that just having so many problems with the pace. If it's Rapinoe, it's Morgan, it's Pugh on the other side of that that front line for the United States.
Rapinoe coming off just an awesome year in the NWSL. 12 goals, good enough for third in the league. He was named second team best 11 for the Seattle Reign.
And this is really just one that Pinoe has to finish. She's got Petersen all the way outside. Could she have slotted it just a fraction early? That's one she's going to want back, though. You look at that and go, and that puts the game at 3-1. What a difference that is going into halftime.
Well, there it is, the end of the first half. The United States leads 2-1 over Denmark. When we return, something real special. Julie goes surfing with one of the stars of the first half,
oh, dear.
Mallory Pugh. Do not miss it.